चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय पञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। So how much did we read?
Page 8, Prabhuji.
Page 8. What do you mean by page 8?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I just went to get my book. I found the book Lord Teachings of Lord Chaitanya when I was moving my stuff.
Okay.
Prabhuji, on the iPad, what page would it be?
All right. What are we doing? Did we discuss? I think we crossed the Hiranyamai Patra, right?
Yeah, Prabhu. And they also did this Namma Mahavadanyaya.
Yeah, that was also completed.
Page 8.
I think right here, we have to start, right?
No, that also we did actually. So I think we were here. This brings up the question of who is 2 or 3 paragraphs further down. Yep, that one. Okay, so we will start from here, right?
From where, Prabhuji?
This one, Mataji, this brings up question somewhere in the middle of the page.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are on teachings of, we are still chapter 1, right?
Introduction.
Oh, introduction. Okay.
Rathayatra Prabhu, we can't see you.
Okay, introduction in the middle.
Jai. Rathayatra Prabhu ki jai.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. So, shall we read?
Prabhuji, which page in the book actually? I was thinking
This
8th
is an
page.
introduction.
Page 8, second paragraph you left, Prabhuji, Namo Mahavadana. But I don't know.
Yeah, so after Namo Mahavadanyaya, 1, 2,
There are different stages of devotional service.
3, 4, 5th, 6th paragraph. After Namo Mahavadanyaya.
1, 2,
Okay, Prabhuji, got
3,
it. Thank
4,
you. This
5,
brings
6.
up.
Okay, page number 10, Prabhu.
Even in the material world, is that where we start from?
That page, after that page only, last paragraph.
Got it. Thank you, Prabhuji.
That page, after that, second para after that. Alright? This brings up the question of who Radharani is and what Krishna is. Actually, Radha Krishna is the exchange of love. This is not ordinary love. Krishna has immense potencies, of which three principal: internal, external, and marginal. In the internal potency, there are three divisions: Samvit, Ladini, and Sandhini. The Ladini potency is the pleasure potency. All living entities have this pleasure-seeking potency, for all beings are trying to have pleasure. This is the very nature of the living entity. At present, we are trying to enjoy our pleasure potency by means of the body in this material condition. By bodily contact, we are attempting to derive pleasure from material sense objects. We should not think, however, that Krishna, who is always spiritual, tries to seek pleasure on this material plane like us. Krishna describes the material universe as a non-permanent place full of miseries. Why then should he seek pleasure in the material form? He is the super soul, the supreme spirit, and his pleasure is beyond the material conception.
Prabhuji, what is this, like can you explain the three divisions? I mean, it talks about...
So, Krishna has three potencies.
Right.
Of course, Krishna has multifarious energies, unlimited energies, but the potencies of Krishna, the Shaktis of Krishna, right, can be divided into three, right? Samvit, Ladini, and Sandhini, right? So, as Prabhupada is mentioning, this is not ordinary love. Krishna has immense potencies, of which three principal. So the unlimited energies are divided into three: internal, external, and marginal. Right?
Yeah.
What comes under the external potencies of Krishna? What comes under external potencies? External energy.
All the material world. Material creation.
All the material creation, right? The material energies, they're the separated. Which verse in Bhagavad Gita says that the material energy is the separated energy of the Lord?
Um, Bhumi apor nalo vayu.
Fantastic. Bhumi Rapo Nalovayu. Yes. Bhumi Rapo Nalovayu Khamamana Buddhi Revacha. Ahankara ityam में भिन्न प्रकृति अस्तिदा. Right? These are bhinna prakriti. These are external energies of Krishna. Separated energies, right? External. Then, what is the marginal energy of Krishna?
All the living entities.
All the living entities. Right? Aparayam itaswanyam. Remember that verse? Jiva bhuta mahabhavo yayedam dharyate jagat. Right? So, Krishna is saying, apart from these external energies, aparayam itaswanyam, there is one more marginal energy, one more energy of Krishna, which is the Jiva Bhut, the Jivas, right? So the Jivas are the marginal energies of Krishna. And what is the internal energy of Krishna?
Internal energy is all the spiritual energy, spiritual energy.
The spiritual energy, the spiritual world.
Spiritual world.
Right? The spiritual world is a product of internal energy of Krishna. Right? So internal energy, external energy, marginal energy, right? These are the three principal energies. Apart from this, also there are many more energies, right? Many categories of energy. Now, within the internal potency, there are three divisions: Samvit, Ladini, and Sandhini. So within the internal, the Ladini potency is the pleasure potency. Right? So what is this pleasure potency? The pleasure, Ladini Shakti is actually Radharani. So all the living entities have this Ladini Shakti, pleasure-seeking potency is there. But our pleasure-seeking potency, we are trying to seek pleasure on the material world. But Krishna is using this pleasure potency to have experiences in the spiritual world, in the spiritual form. So it's not material. The experience of pleasure, to get experience of pleasure, that is natural for the living entity. But how one is able to experience that pleasure will vary. On the material platform, we are trying to experience that pleasure to the material plane. In the spiritual realm, we are trying to experience pleasure on the spiritual plane. Like, for example, last week we had the Sadhu Sangha retreat. Right? Anybody has ever been to Sadhu Sangha?
Yes, bro. Not this year.
Rath Yatra, Prabhu, you didn't come.
Prabhuji, I was, I didn't register, Prabhuji. We went previous year, so we could not go this time, Prabhuji.
Why?
Yeah, we didn't book it, so I was outside. I was in India, Prabhuji, that time when supposed.
Pandang Prabhu,
We
what
attended
about you?
2016, Prabhu, but this year Yeah,
all are in different direction, Prabhu. My son is somewhere and I went to Omaha for work.
Okay.
yeah, we did not plan, Prabhu, this year actually.
Mm. How was the experience in your past years?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, we had a wonderful time. Yeah, we especially it's 3 days. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, away from the work and everything, Prabhu. And the place itself is so good. And Kirtan goes till we were till the midnight, and in the morning we come
Uh,
home. And the whole 3 days was so ecstatic, and we didn't have a heart to come back.
yeah.
Uh, it's a nice places. I like that natural environment also, Prabhu. Hill area.
Mm. So it's a
So
it's
we
a
also
very
we
deep
wanted to go,
experience.
Prabhuji, this year, but we had a wedding in our family, so we couldn't go. Same weekend.
Mm. So opportunities of such deep experiences in spiritual life, right, which help us in making leaps and bounds of spiritual progress. When these opportunities come, they don't come easy, right? They don't come like, just imagine, to get something small in this world, you have to pay so much price, right? To get some money, just to maintain the family, you have to work so hard, right? Every single day, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, sometimes more, sometimes in the night, you work hard, then you get some money by which you feel some satisfaction, right? Some feel okay. Then there is some little enjoyment. So opportunities or spiritual experiences, they we have to pay the price. We have to prioritize if that is important for us, right? So what does that do? Like, we go to places, are just 2,000 devotees all chanting together the holy names. Can you imagine the Shakti that is created? That's what we need to actually, for our soul to touch the holy name. That's what we need. So why I was taking that example is because when we participate in such activities, any activities of Krishna consciousness for that matter, but specifically in this case, like something like Sadhu Sangha, the, the, the experience is very deep. Do you think that everybody, all the devotees who come and who participate, do you think that they're enjoying? Did you enjoy?
I'm sure they all look very. I've seen the live coverage. They look very happy. I'm
They
sure
look
they're
very
enjoying.
happy.
Yes.
Pandang Prabhu, were you feeling happy? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, we are in aesthetic, Prabhu. Like as you said, all the aspects, Kirtan and all the different Kirtanias, Maharajas, and the place, everything is adds up, and you are actually forget about outside what's going on. You are in the totally in that mood of chanting and like that.
So you're saying you're experiencing a lot of enjoyment.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Sure.
In fact, you even forget your body,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So one devotee was mentioning, our Ram Mohan Prabhu from Boston. So he was mentioning, he said every single devotee, he was seeing their faces, and he was saying every single devotee's face was like beaming with lots of happiness. Devotees are completely enjoying, completely relishing, right? We even forget that we are this body because like Mataji was saying, midnight kirtan is going till midnight. Then again you wake up in the morning. Again you get into the class and kirtan, all that. There's literally no sleep. And for those devotees who don't usually dance, when you dance a little bit, your legs start paining, right? So you have aching legs, you know, less sleep, but you forget it, isn't it? You forget it. So you go beyond the body, right? So that pleasure that we are actually getting, what is that pleasure? That pleasure is on the spiritual platform. That pleasure is not on the material platform. That pleasure is on the spiritual platform. So this pleasure potency, so that is the type of pleasure that the living entity is, or Krishna and Radharani and all the associates, they are experiencing, right? They are experiencing pleasure not on the bodily platform. They experience pleasure on the spiritual platform. Just coming in contact with Krishna gives pleasure, right? And the source of that pleasure is Ladini Shakti, right? Which is basically the source of Ladini Shakti is Srimati Radharani, right? So that's how the energies, the potencies of Krishna are divided. So you should never think that Radha Krishna are on the material platform. They are on the spiritual platform. Is it okay?
Yes, bro.
All right. Let's read the next para. Maniprabhu, read the next para.
To learn how Krishna enjoys pleasure, we must study the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we should study the 10th canto, in which Krishna's pleasure potency is displayed in his pastimes with Radharani and the damsels of Raja. Unfortunately, unintelligent people turn at once to the sports of Krishna in the Dasamaskanda, the 10th canto. Krishna's embracing Radharani or his dancing with the cowherd girls in the Rasa dance are generally not understood by ordinary men. Because they consider these pastimes in the light of mundane lust, they foolishly think that Krishna is like themselves and that he embraces the gopis just as an ordinary man embraces a young girl. Some people thus become interested in Krishna because they think that his religion allows indulgence in sex. This is not Krishna Bhakti, love of Krishna, but Prakriti Sahajiya, materialistic lust. To avoid such errors, we should understand what Radha Krishna actually is. Radha and Krishna display their pastimes through Krishna's internal energy. The pleasure potency of Krishna's internal energy is a most difficult subject matter, and unless one understands what Krishna is, one cannot understand it. Krishna does not take any pleasure in this material world, but he has a pleasure potency. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna, the pleasure potency is within us also. But we are trying to exhibit that pleasure potency in matter. Krishna, however, does not make such a vain attempt. The object of Krishna's pleasure potency is Radharani. Krishna exhibits his potency as Radharani and then engages in loving affairs with her. In other words, Krishna does not take pleasure in this external energy but exhibits his internal energy, his pleasure potency, as Radharani and then enjoys with her. Thus, Krishna manifests himself as Radharani in order to enjoy his internal pleasure potency. Of the many expansions, and incarnations of the Lord, this pleasure potency is the foremost and chief. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. I
Wow.
think self-explanatory, right?
Wow. Yes, bro.
Right. So the first point is extremely clear that that the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in 10th canto, people with materialistic on materialistic platform cannot understand that, right? They think that this is some materialistic lusty engagement going on, right? But that's not the opinion of the acharyas, and that's not the spiritual understanding, right? If it was material in nature, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was a topmost of sannyasi, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu
Hmm.
said that uh, you know that a renunciate should not even look at the feet, should not even touch the feet of a wooden doll. Forget the face. This renunciate should not even touch the feet of a wooden doll, right? So that personality who's so strict about renunciation and refrainment on the material platform is talking about pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami was a self-realized soul, Brahman realized soul. For Sukadeva Goswami, there was no difference between a tree and a naked woman. When he was passing by the women who were taking bath, as he was passing by in the forest, women who were taking bath in the river, right? When they saw Sukadeva Goswami passing by, they understood that this is a very exalted brahmachari. So they did not even bother to actually cover themselves because they knew that for Sukadeva Goswami, his body is nothing but a skin of a tree, right? If you see a tree, you don't get excited, right?
Hmm.
Tree, right? Why? Because you know, we in our vision that's something very static, something very unattractive. But
Unless
we
there
see
are mangoes
opposite.
on it, Prabhuji, then very attractive.
What is that? Unless
There are mangoes hanging on from it.
oh mango. Yeah. Actually, the tree is not attractive. The fruit is attractive.
Yes, on the
So right, but our vision is very material on the material platform, right? But Sukadeva Goswami, he saw the soul inside the body, so he was not seeing the body. That's how elevated he was. But Sukadeva Goswami is describing the pastimes of Radha and Krishna and the gopis in the 10th canto, which means that this have to be something different. If it was ordinary materialistic pastimes, why would such great renunciates talk about it, right? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Jiva Goswami, right? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a Naishtika Brahmachari. Naishtika Brahmachari, right? So why would these elevated renunciates talk about Radha and Krishna pastimes? Why? Because they were on the spiritual platform, right? So we should be very careful. We should not bring or consider these pastimes on middle platform. Now, in the next para, Prabhupada is explaining how this is spiritual in nature, right? How Radha and Krishna pastimes are on a spiritual platform, right? So that's what is explained so nicely, right? Uh, First is we have to understand Krishna. First is we have to understand Krishna never touches the material world. Krishna never touches the material world. Krishna is aloof. Why? Because he does not make such a vain attempt. Right? So then, how does Krishna enjoy? So the pleasure potency is there in Krishna, is there in us. So the pleasure potency of Krishna comes out, means his desire, his Shakti to enjoy pleasure in the creation, that potency, that Shakti manifest outside in the form of Radharani. So Radharani is an expansion of Krishna's pleasure potency. Right? So like when Krishna takes expansions or incarnations, the various aspects of Krishna's potencies, they come out in a personal form. Krishna expands the personal form in different personal forms. For like Krishna has a desire, Krishna has a potency to serve, right? Who is that expansion of Krishna? Whom does Krishna expand into?
Balaram Prabhu.
Balaram, exactly. So Krishna's desire or Krishna's potency to serve, when that particular potency expands, comes out, it becomes Balaram, right? Then Krishna's anger, Krishna also has anger.
Narsimhadev.
Narsimhadev. Krishna has anger.
Aniruddha, right?
Narsimhadev, right? So Krishna's various potencies, Krishna expands, and those various potencies come out as personalities. So Krishna's pleasure potency, Krishna expands his pleasure potency as Radharani. The object of Krishna's pleasure potency is Radharani, because Radharani is his pleasure potency, right? And he exhibits his potency, and then, so when he exhibits this potency as Srimati Radharani, then Krishna engages in loving affairs with his own spiritual potency, right? So Krishna doesn't take pleasure in the external energy. Krishna takes pleasure in his own internal energy, his own energy, right? So, of all the extensions, expansions, and incarnations, this pleasure potency is the foremost and chief. Yes, of all potencies of Krishna, this pleasure potency is the chief. Why? Because pleasure is the topmost in our life, right? So similarly, pleasure is topmost for Krishna, right? And this pleasure potency is none other than Radharani. You see, none other than Radharani. So that's why Krishna wants to engage in, loving affairs with Radharani, because that's his own internal, pleasure potency, right? It's him. And that's what the next para Prabhupada says. It is not that Radharani is separate from Krishna. Pandra Prabhu, you want to read that? You're on mute?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is not that Radharani is separate from Krishna. Radharani is also Krishna, for there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Without energy, there is no meaning of the energetic. And without the energetic, there is no energy. Similarly, without Radha, there is no meaning to Krishna. And without Krishna, there is no meaning to Radha. Because of this, the Vaishnava philosophy, first of all, pays obeisance to and worship the infinite pleasure potency of Supreme Lord. Thus, the Lord and his potency are always referred to as Radha Krishna. Similarly, those who worship Narayana first of all utter the name of Lakshmi as Lakshmi Narayana. Similarly, those who worship Lord Rama first of all utter the name of Sita. In any case, Sita, Rama, Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, the potency always comes first.
Yeah. So Radha and Krishna are the same one. They're Radharani is Krishna, in the internal potency form, right? So Radha and Krishna are not separate. Radharani is not separate from Krishna, right? Why? Because she is the energy of Krishna. She is the internal potency of Krishna. She's the pleasure potency of Krishna. So she is Krishna's potency, and Krishna is not separate from his potency, right? So it's they are always together, right? And that's why, as it is explained, the Vaishnava Acharyas, they understand that in order to approach Krishna, you have to first approach the potency of Krishna, internal potency of Krishna, right? And that's how we always see that Sita, Ram, Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi, Narayana, right? Next para.
So, but what are the other potencies, the internal potencies he takes, Prabhu? We are talking about one, Nandini, Samvit and Sandini.
Yeah, Samvit and Sandhini. Those are the
Krishna.
those are the internal potencies of Krishna, right? So Samvit is which actually maintains, right? Sandhini, I don't exactly remember, but Sandhini is the one that basically nourishes, right? So these different potencies, they have a different feature of what they actually accomplish. So pleasure potency gives pleasure, Samvit potency gives nourishment, Sandhini gives establish the relationship. So like that, different potencies, they actually uh, they carry out different features. You see, does it make sense?
Yes, bro.
So that's how we understand that Radha and Krishna are one and the same. Next para.
In the next verse, the author further explains why Krishna assumed the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna desired to know the glory of Radha's love. Why is she so much in love with me? Krishna asked, what is my special qualification that attracts her so? And what is the actual way in which she loves me? It seems
No, I
strange
think
that
the paragraph before that.
Before that,
Radha and Krishna are one. And when Krishna desires to enjoy pleasure, he manifests himself as Radharani. The spiritual
Haribol.
although we speak of when Krishna desires, just when he did desire, we cannot say. We only speak in this way because in conditioned life we take it that everything has a beginning. However, in spiritual life everything is absolute, and so there is neither beginning nor end. Yet, in order to understand that Radha and Krishna are one and that they also become divided, the question when automatically comes to mind. When Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency, he manifested himself in the separate form of Radharani. And when he wanted to understand himself through the agency of Radha, he united with Radharani, and that unification is called Lord Chaitanya. This is explained explained by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj in the 5th verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Hare Krishna.
So, can I continue, Prabhu, the next paragraph?
So Uh, let's discuss this a little bit. Any questions on this paragraph? Is it clear? Radha and Krishna are one, and when Krishna desires to enjoy pleasure, he manifests himself Radharani, which is what we've been discussing. Right?
Mm.
Yet, in order to understand that Radha and Krishna are one, and that they've also become divided, the question when. So Prabhupada is explaining that that there is no logical point, right? Sometimes people in material consciousness we say, when is the beginning? So it's absolute, it's eternal. So eternally they are one and different, right? Automatically comes to mind when Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency, he manifested himself in the separate form of Radharani. And he wanted to understand himself through the agency of Radha, united with Radharani. Right? So that's how constantly Krishna can exist as separate from Radharani, and you can have Radha and Krishna, or Krishna can exist in parallel simultaneously as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is Radha and Krishna together. Right?
Prabhuji, I have a question. You know, like we read the chapter in the Bhagavatam of Krishna and his expansions and how he expanded to all these forms. So when he, I mean, so you are saying that he never existed separate from Radharani. It's like his energy.
Yeah.
So it was not that he created Radharani.
So Radharani is expansion of Krishna.
So at some point she was created by him, right?
But that's what Prabhupada is saying, right?
Yeah.
When did they separate?
Yes. So
Right.
when were then? Yeah. When was she?
And Prabhupada is saying, in conditional life, we take it that everything has a beginning. However, in the absolute or spiritual life, there is neither beginning nor end. Yet, in order to understand that Radha and Krishna are one, and they also become divided, the question when automatically comes to the mind. So, when Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency, he manifested himself in a separate form of Radharani.
Okay. So yeah.
And when he wanted to understand himself through the agency of Radha, he united with Radharani. Right? So if you want to understand when, the answer is whenever Krishna wanted to desire, whenever Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency. That event when.
Okay.
When Krishna got the desire, it's like this. When did you eat the gulab jamun? When you got the desire to eat gulab jamun, you ate it. You cooked it, you ate it. Similarly, uh, because in the material world, then you will say, okay, what time? Right? You will say, what time? What time did you eat gulab jamun? In material world, there is time.
Right.
In spiritual world, there is no time. Right? It's eternal. So when there is no time, then you can't track time, but you can track the desire. So whenever Krishna wanted to desire, whenever Krishna desired to enjoy his pleasure potency, right, he manifested himself as Radharani. And whenever he wanted to actually understand himself through the agency of Radha, he united again with Radharani. Right? And in spiritual world, while we are saying when Krishna wanted to desire, because everything is eternal, both could simultaneously exist. So you could have Radha and Krishna, and you could also have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One and the same, right? You see. Does it make sense?
Yes, probably. But I'm still wondering that when did she manifest? Like, was it because they say that they are one? So on one hand, is it like it's a part of you that, like, suppose we have arms and legs, and whenever we choose to use them, we use them, or is it like
So
something that like we create and then enjoy?
yeah, so basically, see,
Like
it's like this.
say for
Right.
example, if you want to
What is
enjoy
that?
your children, like say our children, is they don't exist, but then we create them.
Right. So the thing is that the children example is on the material platform, right?
Mm.
Um, and we are only one small factor in that, right? But in Krishna's case,
Yeah.
Krishna is the complete whole.
Mm.
Krishna's energies are all within Krishna. Krishna is Atma Ramas Chamunayo. Krishna is a complete whole. Krishna is completely satisfied, doesn't need anything else, right? But at the same time, Krishna's energies, he expands his energies into these different forms,
Mm.
like Balram, Radharani, and everybody like that,
Right, right.
right?
Yes, but only
So
Radha they say are one, but they don't say that Balram is one or.
Balram is also same as Krishna.
Right,
There's
right.
no difference between Balram and Krishna. You know that, right?
Right, yes. But they
Except one.
somehow they don't say that. I don't know why they don't say that they are not separate. I mean, like they always say Krishna Radha, like even when we mention or
Yeah,
chant.
that is because that is a specific way to address
Okay.
that aspect of it. The only difference between Krishna and Balram
Yeah.
is that Krishna is black and Balram is white. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, bro.
that's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Otherwise, there's no difference between Krishna and Balram in terms of potencies and energies.
Right.
Balramji is Krishna. Krishna is
Very
Balram.
well. Sevya Bhagavan, Sevak Bhagavan, right?
Right.
But
But
Balaram is the service, right? Who we are discussing is service mood.
exactly, from a potencies perspective, they
Right.
both are one and same. But from a role perspective,
Mm.
Krishna is playing the role of taking service. Balram is playing the role of giving service.
Right.
But it's like you serving yourself.
Right.
Like when you are serving yourself, you know, uh, you're like, okay, I'm serving myself. What's the big deal? But if we had the power and we could expand ourselves into two,
Right.
and then we would say that, look, whenever I am serving myself,
I'm
I
Balram.
will have this person of me,
Right. Right.
person B, which is also me,
Right.
will serve me, right?
Like a clone.
So it's like a clone. So like when when I'm serving myself by actually cooking something for myself, I will say that, look, whenever I want to cook for myself, my clone will cook for me.
Oh, acha, okay. Now I understand. Yes, I understand now. So
You
it
see,
is like just me doing like different jobs, but just me.
exactly. It's just me
When I'm
doing different
enjoying
tasks.
myself, I'm using my Radharani potency. When I'm serving myself, I become Balram.
Exactly.
Okay. When I'm angry.
Right. So it's just me,
Right.
but these are my clones. These are me, my clones. And
Right.
when I have to carry out some activities, my clones do it for me because that's also me.
Yes, Prabhuji, you made it very clear. I completely understand now.
Yeah. One thing like souls are like children,
Right.
right, Prabhu?
What is that?
Souls are like children. They are not the same as the parent. They're not the clone of the parent, but they come from the parent, right? Ourselves. We serve Krishna, but
Souls are also expansions of Krishna, but
right,
not complete expansion. Those are
complete
marginal
expansion.
expansions, right? But in this particular example, so I may have my clones, uh, who are there, um, but at the same time, if the clone is combining back with me, that is also me. So my I create a clone for service, but clone can also be in me, and that's also fine. You see,
Hmm.
so both scenarios are same. But in Krishna's case, what happens is Krishna is so unlimited He is a Yogeshwar. So Krishna can do all these things. He can expand himself in unlimited forms to carry out unlimited activities. And that's why it said that Krishna has unlimited expansions. Like we know that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, and even in Vrindavan, when Krishna wants to kill the demons, it is another aspect of Krishna that is killing the demons, right? The Vasudev Krishna is killing demons. Sham Sundar Krishna is always playing on the flute. Sham Sundar Krishna never lifts weapons or
Hmm.
or engages in fights. Vasudev Krishna, an expansion of Krishna, engages in those fights. So how do we understand? So it's like I I have my clone, and whenever fighting has to happen, my fighting clone will fight. But that's me. You see. So Krishna can do that. And that aspect of Krishna is what is being described here. The Krishna has unlimited potencies. And right now the specific discussion is happening on the pleasure potency of Krishna, which is Radharani. So Radha and Krishna are one and the same. Krishna and Balram are one and the same.
Hmm.
Right?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you for clarifying. It makes a lot of sense now.
And again, these are very high level spiritual discussions. So many a times on material platform we may just keep going in circles without understanding ever.
Next
So,
paragraphs again
yeah,
something
bro.
will
I mean,
begin.
this is very clear, Prabhu, because Mayavadis get confused. They say like, "Oh no, we are also same as Krishna," and that is where the big problem starts.
Yeah. So okay, keep getting confused. So what we should understand is that okay, whatever we can gather from this, we take it by the mercy of acharyas. But we focus on really developing our spiritual understanding. As we make spiritual progress, as we come more and more on the spiritual platform, these things will become, we will be able to experience these things. The realization will come. Right now realization is not there. Right now knowledge is going on, knowledge discussion, gyan is going on. Gyan has to become vigyan. Vigyan will happen when we elevate ourselves to the spiritual platform, right? It will automatically, you'll understand how it is happening, right? So we must accept by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, and then try to understand that yes, as I am going to make progress, things are going to become easier for me to understand, right? So next paragraph, uh, yes, Rathayatra Prabhu, you want to read? We'll read one more para, then we'll close.
Why did Krishna assume the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It is explained that Krishna desired to know the glory of Radha's love. Why is she so much in love with me? Krishna asked, what is my special qualification that attracts her so? And what is the actual way in which she loves me? It seems strange that Krishna, as the Supreme, would be attracted by anyone's love. We search after the love of a woman or a man because we are imperfect and lack something. The love of a woman, that potency and the pleasure is absent in man. And therefore, a man wants a woman, but this is not the case with Krishna, who is full in himself. Thus, Krishna expressed surprise. Why am I attracted by Radharani? And when Radharani feels my love, what is she actually feeling? In order to test the essence of that loving affair, Krishna appeared just as the moon appears in the horizon of the sea. Just as the moon was produced by the churning of the sea, by the churning of spiritual love affairs, the moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Indeed, Chaitanya's complexion was golden, just like the moon. Although this is figurative language, it conveys the meaning behind the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The full significance of his appearance will be explained in later chapters. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Right. Is it making sense?
Hmm.
The project is making sense, but again, Krishna is absolute.
Just the way
He knows
Muddu
everything.
Horizon of the stage.
How is that he was not knowing what Srimati Radharani will be feeling? So
Krishna knows, but Krishna doesn't have the experience. You see, like knowing one thing and experiencing one thing is different, right?
But Prabhuji, Krishna is in the form of Paramatma in everybody, and he watches everything. So how come he can't
Right.
experience?
So that's another important point to understand, is that Krishna, that's what is the individuality aspect.
Hmm.
That even though Krishna is seated as Paramatma, but he is different from the individual soul.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That Krishna doesn't enter into you. As
Oh,
Paramatma, Krishna doesn't enter into the soul. The soul remains soul, Paramatma remains Paramatma.
so okay.
So your experience is unique to you.
Right. So
No
okay.
other living entity, including Krishna, can experience what you're going through.
Wow, very interesting.
Unless they have been through the same experience. Like, if suppose you are the only person in the world who has eaten gulab jamun,
Hmm.
do you think anybody else can have that experience?
No.
No, because you are the only one who has eaten. Everybody else may know that, oh, it looks like this color, it has so much element of sugar, it has so much ghee, and knowledge wise you can talk and you can understand and you can think, oh, when there is x grams of sugar, that sweetness is so much,
Hmm.
right? So you can intellectually, you can try to figure that out, but you will not have the experience,
So he's like just
right?
an
So what
observer, but
happens is,
not experience what we are experiencing.
exactly. So Jiva Goswami explains in his one of his sandarbhas that Krishna doesn't even have the experience of suffering of the living entity, because Krishna has never suffered.
Very well.
Oh, but Prabhuji, they say that Krishna cries when he feels so much pain when the people are
That's his
suffering, but that is
experience.
different.
That's
That,
his experience.
that is his experience.
Like when you are feeling separation from Chiku,
Right.
that's your experience,
Mm.
right? But if Chiku is going through a suffering, you will never be able to understand that.
Right. Yes.
You see? So that's why Krishna's representatives, the Guru, the Acharyas, are actually, through them, Krishna understands the suffering of the living entity. Because the
Right.
Acharyas, see, Krishna doesn't come in contact with the material energy.
Mm.
And that's why Krishna cannot experience suffering.
Right.
Because he does not come in contact with material energy. But Krishna sends his devotees, who are pure devotees, who are on the purest platform, but they come in contact with the material. Like Prabhupada, when he is in the material body, he is going through the same experience of birth, old age, disease, death. So Prabhupada, because he is in the material body, he is going through the material suffering. And because he is going through the material suffering, Prabhupada has better appreciation for suffering of living entities than Krishna.
Right. Okay.
And that's why uh, acharyas or devotees of Krishna are more merciful than Krishna,
Mm.
because they can relate to the suffering. And it is through pure devotees, through Krishna's representatives, Krishna is actually. So, in one sense, does Krishna have experience? No. Another sense, does he have experience? Yes.
Yes.
Because through his pure devotees, he's experiencing and he's giving that mercy. Right?
So when
So,
pure devotees, he can feel their pain. He can feel what the other people are feeling through, is what you're saying.
True meaning, like those are Krishna's representatives, right? Sakshad Haritvena.
Okay.
The pure devotee, Guru, is the representative of Krishna. You see?
I don't understand, Prabhuji, because you're saying that he's separate. So he
He's
does.
separate. So
So
he's a
even the pure devotees are still separate.
exactly.
So then how
But they are his representatives.
they
They are
can
his
just like send
representatives.
the message that these people are suffering.
Exactly. So Krishna trusts them.
Right. Okay.
So when Prabhupada will say that this devotee is suffering intensely, even though Krishna doesn't have experience, Krishna will accept the word of Prabhupada and say, okay, you are saying, you understand, you have better experience of the suffering, I accept you. I accept your word. You see?
Right.
So that trust factor is there. So the point is that even though Krishna is seated as Paramatma in the heart, Krishna
Is not
does not go
experiencing what we are experiencing because
exactly.
he can just watch as a bystander. But
Exactly.
okay.
So in this case,
I always thought that he is exactly experiencing everything we are going through, because
no,
that's why when we pray, they many times answer our prayers or take away our misery or whatever. But you were saying they don't. That's interesting.
they don't. They are fully cognizant. Krishna is completely in knowledge,
Right.
but he doesn't have the experience. And that's why he's a witness.
Right. Yes,
People
we
say,
can feel the pain, just like because if we are sensitive, if somebody is suffering, we can feel the
ah,
pain. Right.
exactly.
Okay. Our probably lot of realizations today.
No, not realization, knowledge.
Whatever.
You're getting knowledge. Realization will come when we will experience.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay.
Right. So as we become more and more spiritual, these things we will experience them.
Mm.
Right. So when Radharani is so Krishna has no experience of Radharani's love.
Right.
Right. So that's why what Krishna does is he changes roles. And he says, okay, I want to be like Radharani. I want to be in the mood of Radharani. Right?
Right.
And when so like in a drama, right? Husband and wife, they're one person is husband, one person is wife, and they are actually playing a drama. So the person who's playing husband gets certain experience. Playing wife gets certain experience. When they switch roles, experiences are also switched. So similarly, Krishna is saying, okay, now I want to come like Radharani and I want to have that mood. So I can understand and experience what Radharani is going through.
Right. Okay.
Right? So it's like that.
Okay.
So, Prabhu, will Krishna ever come as a living entity and experience the material pain? I don't think he
No,
will ever be, right?
no, because Krishna never touches the material energy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So Krishna will never do that. And he doesn't need to do that, right? Because his energies are doing that. Right? Krishna's Leela will only happen in the internal potency platform. Krishna will always remain in the internal potency. All right. So, a lot of esoteric discussions today. And
Wow.
actually, this is just a glimpse of what is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. If you will read the first 5 chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita, will not make any sense to us. You'll actually.
Prabhuji, we have 3. We can finish the next paragraph also. 3 minutes.
What is that in the next paragraph?
Just about Balram, since we were talking about him.
So we want to do it nicely,
Oh, okay. Take it.
right? So
चलिए प्रभु जी
we want to do it nicely. We
Okay.
don't want to rush. Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, Prabhu. We'll do it next week.
Yeah, this is all good stuff. This is interesting.
Very interesting, bro. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very fascinating.
No, thanks to Srila Prabhupada for writing these things for us.
So,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, why are we starting with this instead of Chaitanya Charitamrita? This is
Because this is a much non-scary book, meaning it's a small book, right? And
not scary.
if we look at the whole CC, we probably will get bogged down. We'll think I'll never finish this.
Okay. But it's very
And-
interesting to read.
Right. But teachings of Lord Chaitanya is basically like kind of essence of
Right.
taken from CC, and it's easy. Hopefully, we can finish it. Finish reading it sooner than later, and at the same time, it kind of lays the foundation. So, we would be better prepared. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji,
All
before
right.
you, I just wanted to talk to you about something when once people
Yeah.
disconnect.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I'll stop the broadcast.
Please. Thank you, Mani.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpataru Basic Kripa Sindhu.